everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe. In today's episode, I got my guy, Johnnie Weathersby III in the building. Johnny, what's going on, bro?
Yo, hey, how's it going, Seku? How's it going?
Pretty good, man. You doing all right today?
Yeah, doing good. This week has been productive. I'm happy about this
Oh,
one.
good. That's a good word for it. I'll start using productive versus like other words that I can call a week. So I'll take that
All
one from you.
perspective.
Yeah, awesome. All right, man. So we've done a number of these. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Johnny, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yep. So manager business intelligence at a company based in San Diego called National Funding. Actually just started there, but I've been doing the thing in analytics for a number of years now, going on about 20 years, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, mainly doing a lot of work when it comes to self-service tools, Tableau, messing around in Power BI, Domo. I've tested pretty much any number of like self-service BI tools you can think of, and really focusing on that space. Yeah, just visual analytics.
Love it, man. So 20 years in the game, you're a vet, you're out here, but at a certain point, you had to get your start, man. So what really compels you to get into data to begin with?
So for me, it's interesting. I'm really big into personality tests. I'm an entrepreneurial studies major by trade. I'm always starting or stopping some kind of business at one point or another. But as I was doing that, my very first internship actually was in the realm of just like marketing analytics. I got into that, then started doing like focus groups, consumer analytics based things. And then after that, just full on went into like web analytics and data analytics. It wasn't anything intentional. It gave me a complex for a while. Definitely had imposter syndrome. That's why if anyone knows me, I have a number of certifications that I always like get just because I'm always worried there's something that I missed since I wasn't a traditionally trained data analyst.
Got you. I don't think anybody's traditionally trained. You kind of just got to go
Yeah.
through the gauntlet, man.
Yeah. I mean, some people. It's interesting because I mean, like I said, 20 years when I started, it wasn't a track. Not
Yeah,
necessarily. I mean, at the higher levels, yeah. But now you can come in and you can just focus on
that's
analytics
true.
from the start if you want. That's kind of new for people.
So at the 20-year mark, because it's fascinating, was it mostly like DBAs and OLAP and trying to get like, online transaction information and not so much the visuals and Excel? Like what did that look like 20 years ago?
So for me, 20 years ago, there was a lot of crap. What was that company that I was using? MicroStrategy. I
Oh
would
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of self-service stuff there, and companies that no longer exist, like Omniture Analytics, I think switched over to Adobe for
Mm.
now. I think they switched to that. I was introduced to Tableau years ago. I'm 15, 16 years in on Tableau, so I hopped in that pretty early on in my career. Now that I think about it, but yeah, Excel has always been my best friend. I'll just say that.
Always.
Always. Yeah.
Now it's the steady one that's always around. No matter where you go, Excel will be
Yep.
right there for you.
Yep. It is not leaving us alone.
That's so funny. Even right before recording this, my wife asked me an Excel question, and like I helped her out. I was like, "Give me a minute." I thought it was gonna take 10. It was like 2 seconds. So, babe, if you're listening to you, I always got you in Excel.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Dependable.
Yeah, always, always. All right. So, thinking about your career, 20 years in the game, but you've done a number of roles. But this question doesn't have to necessarily be data related. It's just like when I was in high school, I was a pizza delivery, or I worked at a movie theater. Right. I mean, what's been your least favorite job to date that you had?
So my least favorite job. Here's a funny thing. I thought about this question for a while, and it's actually the hardest question for me because I'm an optimist. Like I said, it's all about perspective. I've only ever stepped away from two roles in my life. One, I was a cook at Popeye's Chicken for 3 days. That was not the life for me because of how the team and the manager handled things. My best friend rolled out with me that day too. But the other one, it more so kind of dealt around. It's always been around people. If I end up, like coming in and just kind of seeing that it's a situation I don't necessarily want to be in, I will navigate out of that. So it wasn't necessarily the work. It wasn't necessarily the company or the people at large. I enjoyed all of that. It was very much so specific interaction, specific person. I just kind of wanted to go because there was no way to avoid those interactions.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm an optimist. If no one's ever heard of the Holsey Manifesto, They definitely say if you don't like your job, quit. And I live by that manifesto every day.
Love it. That meant
Yeah.
more people need to talk about that because it's just like people do things and they don't love it and they're miserable. It's just like there's a big world out here. You have a skill set,
Yeah.
go do the things that
Use
make
it.
you happy and
Yeah,
provide value.
it's your life. Nobody can do it for you. So don't stay in any situations that you don't need to be in. There's other work.
Yeah, love it. That's awesome. We'll talk offline about that, but that's a great
Yep.
one. All right. So thinking about the journey, we have a concept here called fail forward, right? Everything that you do always propels you to the next step. You're never really failing. You're just learning from the lesson. So with that in mind, what would you consider your biggest failure and what you really learn from that experience?
So my biggest failure, it stemmed around it was actually two projects that impacted an entire organization's like group. And basically my failure stemmed around not in my opinion, not properly communicating and being able to convey the severity of what I was seeing in the data to impact decisions. And it happened twice. Every other time things went smoothly, things went great. But I took two approaches. One, it was I'm going to summarize everything and show you the numbers, the ins and outs. If you do this for this group, it'll have this effect kind of thing. Didn't work. The other end gave all the detail. And I'm just like, hey, this, you can move around it. It's a tool. You can look at stuff. Also didn't work. And then a decision ended up being made that was kind of opposite the data. I think it came down to more of like a management style leadership decision type thing where, they were looking for that one silver bullet. And the whole point was, but there is no silver bullet. Not to say it doesn't exist in a cliche way, but literally in that scenario, it wasn't one thing. It was more like 10 things. And I've always kind of felt like that was just, I took that as a personal failure and a learning lesson. Since then, I've really emphasized trying to make sure I'm being very straightforward with communication, expectations, understanding the styles that people like to receive information in, and trying to make sure that I'm having the most impact that I can in a language that they understand. That was my takeaway from that. So, you take your bumps and your bruises, you see how things go, but the fact that that one impacted other people, that one's always been my biggest failure in my mind.
Yeah. And that feeling of impacting others because of the data and the changes and stuff, it doesn't go away.
It does
Like
not.
it's like we can create a million dashboards, a million, ad hoc requests or whatever, but that gut sinking feeling of like, I don't want to feel that again never goes away.
Yep. And you see the ramifications and nope, just
Yeah.
don't want that anymore.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So thinking about this, the audience for this is I'm trying to go after people who are starting their career in data, they're pivoting into the data, or maybe they've been here for a while. So what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out their career in data?
For someone who's just starting out, I'll actually give you two, one and a bonus. One, you're never done. Don't stop training. There's always something new. There are always new tools. You can always take learning from something and apply it to something else. Do not feel like you're an expert and stop training. That will bite you. Hasn't bitten me, but I've seen it bite people. I'm just cautioning you there. The other one, network. You never know when you're going to need it. I was laid off about 5 months ago. My network came through. And I will just say the people know who they are. I am eternally grateful to those people, but you really never know. Sometimes it might not be you, it might just be company situations, business results. It might be huge macroeconomic things that are impacting the business. But you definitely want to stay connected. Definitely keep talking to people.
And two great gems for sure. Like you gotta be on top of the craft because technology evolves fast. Like if you're just like using concepts that you learned 10 years ago, you're gonna be like a
Yep.
dinosaur. Like there's philosophies and stuff, but if you're not
Yeah.
like current with like what's going on and where it's going, like oh yeah, you get left behind really fast.
Yeah, and accept that you will not know it all.
Yeah.
I mean, like short of you creating and being at the bleeding edge with a doctorate in something, you're not going to know it all. I'm pulling up this quote from my phone that definitely applies here. I saw it the other day. Be brave enough to suck at something new. So
Love it.
you have to approach things with that mentality.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So then another question to follow up. So you're 20 years in the game. You even talk about understanding, and you have to understand the technology and keep learning, keep evolving, keep training. 20 years in, what's that thing that keeps you going?
So for me, it honestly just comes down to I like to be very intentional with my decisions and things like that. Like I said, I mentioned the Holsey Manifesto earlier. I literally say it every morning. I don't like wasting my time. I don't like wasting other people's time. Life is too short. So from my end, it's just making sure that I'm doing what it is that I want to do each day and being honest with myself and recognizing that and constantly auditing that. Um, if it's something I don't enjoy, I won't do it. I won't put myself in that situation. So that would be my thing there, just making sure that I'm doing what I want to do. That motivates me because if I'm ever not doing something that I just don't want to do, I will try to maneuver my way around and find those things. It helps me strive so that I'm constantly getting better, but it also keeps me aware and appreciative of when I found enough to know that, yeah, this is it. Appreciate this, like this, because this is what you want. A lot of people don't know what they want.
Yeah. And so they'll just do anything
Yeah.
because they have no idea what it is that they want.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so thinking about tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
Sweet. Yeah. So the most influential people in my life, it's funny. I won't name names, I'll name moments and they'll know who they are if they ever come across this. There once was a time I was sitting down listening to a fellow intern talk about a project, and I had a very bad habit of interrupting because I was excited about what they were doing. I was talking, and this guy who was next to me, he just looked me dead in the eye and he just said, "Will you shut up?" He's like, like he just flat out just broke decorum and everything. And he was just like, "You can't learn and pick up stuff if you're always interrupting and taking things from people." Blah blah blah. That has always stuck with me. That moment always stuck with me. I definitely became a better listener after that. He wasn't a superior or anything. It was another intern, and but that always stuck with me. So shout out to you. You know who you are if that comes up. But also, I mean, my mom, she's my rock. I definitely couldn't be asked that question without mentioning her. And then I have two lifelong friends who just encouraged me through everything, the ups and the downs. We challenge each other. We're in different fields, but we definitely like to see each other succeed if there's any kind of problems. You always need those people in your corner, and it helps. I always heard the statement of like, you're what is it? You're comprised of the five people you talk to the most, or something
Yeah,
like that. I would alter that, and I would say it's the five people you think about the most. It might not necessarily be the people who you're, just always talking to and things like that. I haven't talked to the guy that told me to shut up in literal years. We might roundabout and touch base like every 5 years or so, but I don't talk to that guy every day.
yeah.
But it stuck with me.
Love that. Yeah. So stuck with you. Hey man, like shut up, quiet. Like, you can't- like, what are you
Yeah,
doing? But yeah, no, I mean, like, I love the aspect and the reasoning behind like the five people, right? You do hear that quote, like surround yourself to five people. You show me your friends. You show me where you're going. But there is a not necessarily a subset, but maybe a hierarchy. I don't know what I want to phrase it, but there is a component to it to where like people have impacted you, or they might be a phone call away, and those are people that also mold you as well.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, the only other thing that I'd mention for people like, and this kind of ties back to the question about like, what would you do early in your career? Once you figure out what it is that you want to do, stick with it.
Yeah,
Um, Things are seasonal. Things feel temporary, like they might feel like forever, but they're temporary. And you'll have people that try to discourage you along the way. It happens. Like I said, I've made a whole career out of just working in self-service tools and really getting to know that space. But there was a time someone looked me dead in the eye and just kind of laughed when I told them that's what I wanted to do. And they were just like, nobody wants to be the tool guy. Look at me now, years later. I'm
yeah.
working on it. So just stick with it and don't be discouraged by that. Go ahead and
No,
just use it as motivation.
dude, seriously. Oh man, that's so funny. I don't think I've ever shared this on camera, but I have a similar story where I was gonna start, and I started, but I threw out an idea on my social media. I put it on Instagram. I was like, if I started posting data analytics content, what type of stuff would y'all want to see? And I remember a friend I went to high school with. They, because I won't say he or she or whatever. I'll leave it a little bit vague. But they were like, why? What are you gonna do? Why are you gonna do that? And I vividly remember that moment, even now when they like congratulate me on stuff or they're like, you know, ambassador, whatever. I was like, nah, you didn't believe me in the beginning, you know? so, so I live with that as well.
I get that.
Yeah, no, so I get that motivation piece. All right, Johnny, where can listeners find you at online?
So I'm actually a recluse online. You can find me on LinkedIn. Like I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn. It's the only social media that I use. Beyond that, I might start a blog every now and then, and if I do, you will also see that on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So follow him on LinkedIn, follow a blog. Johnny is a really great public speaker. So follow him on YouTube whenever he gets his channel because he got 20 years worth of experience. So he needs to start creating content. So I'm gonna keep driving the point home. Johnny, get a YouTube channel, get some content out there, and see what we get you, man. But appreciate you taking time out today.
All right, thanks, Seku. Appreciate it,
So
man.
no problem. And as I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.